Welcome everybody to WWE Wrestling Bros with your host Canadian Yorker. So we are live here, and I'm doing a Friday Night Smackdown talk. This is a recap video about Friday Night Smackdown that happened on June 13th, 2025. So my dear brother in arms, Blue and Steel is not able to join today, and we actually, let's just be honest, for this month, it has been quite busy for both of us. So we have not been on our regular schedule as we should be giving you guys and bringing to you the updated information about Friday Night SmackDown results and Monday Night Raw results. And so there will be times where you sometimes will still will not be able to make it, or I myself will not be available to do a recap video. But so we're gonna be, there will be times where we'll be able to come together and have a wrestling talk videos and continue to do our wrestling talk videos. But right now, this is just one of those moments where I'm going to be covering for the wrestling videos while Boone Steel is taking care of his business. So that's all that has to be done. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and one person has to take care of to keep up the with the load of work. So I don't want to be getting myself left behind because we've been missing some recap videos. So in other words, let's just get into this right here. WWE SmackDown results for Friday Night Smackdown, and I'm reading this article from BleacherReport.com. I will be leaving the link to this article in the description box below for anyone who is interested in reading up on it for themselves. You can definitely read that. I think I forgot to put the link in the description box for the live stream, but I'll make sure to do that after the live stream is over. So let's get into this here. So this article from BleacherReport.com, and it covers the Friday Night SmackDown on June 13th. So in other words, so we had a couple of things that happened. Naomi and Seth Rollins both came out of Money in the Bank as the Money in the Bank winner, and with the briefcases. So Seth Rollins is on Raw, Naomi is on SmackDown, and also Jacob Fatu also betrayed Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank, which is kind of, I'm gonna say it was bound to happen. Let's just say it was bound to happen in this, and so Jacob Fatu is talking about why he did what he did and betrayed Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank. And of course, the article spoils it for us. John Cena makes an appearance at Friday Night SmackDown. So let's get into this here. So John Cena continues his farewell tour on Friday Night SmackDown. He continues his farewell tour on Monday Night Raw and on Friday Night SmackDown. So but John Cena is definitely doing what he has to do to complete his farewell tour in WWE. Like he said, he is going to be leaving WWE right after he is, once at the end of December this year, he is leaving at the end of December with the championship in hand and leaving it with WWE forever without a WWE champion. So he will retire as a WWE champion. That is his goal in mind. So according to the article, SmackDown opened up with a quick rundown of what is scheduled for the show and a recap of Money in the Bank before John Cena made his way to the ring. The 17-time champion claimed the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling is just his face 4 times because nobody compares to him from the past, present, or future. John Cena talked about how he has been a step ahead of everyone the whole time, and he said that he put Punk in a corner by making him fight him in Saudi Arabia. Cody Rhodes came to the ring and said John Cena was right about everything he said, but he also reminded Cena that he pinned him at Money in the Bank, Randy Orton came to the ring and said he is determined to get another title shot by winning the King of the Ring tournament. LA Knight also came out to voice his opinion, which led Cena leaving without saying another word. As he was walking up the side, R-Truth, who by the way is now known as Ron Killings, attacked him and beat him down. So this is not the first time this happened in the same show. I'm going to get to that later. John Cena's heel turn hasn't exactly been the history-making WWE run it was hoping for, but he did a good job at making himself sound like a good tactician by listing off everything he has done in recent months with justifications for everything. The rest of the segment was somewhat bland and predictable. This took up way more time than needed. Of course, the grade of it, a grade of C. Continuing, really getting to the first match, we have a King of the Ring tournament matchups here. So any one of these wrestlers can go on to the next round in the King of the Ring tournament. So they started with the quarterfinals with LA Knight versus Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes versus Aleister Black in this first match here. LA Knight and Randy Orton remained in the ring through the break because their fatal four-way with Carmelo Hayes and Aleister Black. Carmelo Hayes and Aleister Black started trading shots with LA Knight, and Randy Orton just sat sort of back and watched. They eventually locked up once Aleister Black took Carmelo Hayes out of the ring. The first break happened shortly after the match got started. When we returned, Melo was taking it to everyone with a flurry of fast-paced offense. The best part about this match was that it was unpredictable. All four guys would have been logical winners, so it kept everyone on their toes as it played out. Even though everyone had moments to shine, it felt like Hayes stood out a bit more than his three opponents. His agility and speed helped him to have some of the most exciting spots in the match. Toward the end, Aleister Black, Randy Orton, and LA Knight had a very awkward exchange. It looked like all these three guys had trouble figuring out what was supposed to happen next. Other than that, there was a solid outing for all four competitors. As LA Knight was preparing to hit an elbow drop, Bronson Reed showed up out of nowhere and yanked him off the top rope. Braun Breaker followed up with a spear. Carmelo Hayes tried to hit a frog splash, but he jumped right onto an RKO from Randy Orton, which allowed him to pin LA Knight for the win. And of course, Randy Orton is going to be moving on in the King of the Ring tournament to the next stage, to the semifinal stage. Unfortunately for LA Knight, he got interrupted by Bronson Reed and by Braun Breaker, who interfered in this match, of course, to stop LA Knight from moving on in the King of the Ring tournament. Obviously, they don't want to see LA Knight move forward, and that's unfortunate. LA Knight had the opportunity to win Money in the Bank at Money in the Bank, but he lost it because of interference from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and also from from the Bloodline as well, with JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu also interrupting the Money in the Bank match. So that's another talk for another video. Let's get on to the next part. We have a Queen of the Rings tournament now. Now there's a quarterfinal matchup for the Queen of the Ring tournament. With Jade Cargill, Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and Nichin all were facing each other to move on to the next round of the Queen of the Ring tournament in this matchup. So Jacob Fatu came out to talk in the ring while he turned on Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank. Solo Sikoa eventually appeared on screen and said Jacob Fatu made a mistake at Money in the Bank, but he can forgive him if he says "I love you, Solo" next week. Then that's the backstage segment, a forward stage and backstage segment going on. Next up was the was one of the Queen of the Ring quarterfinal matches. Jade Cargill was out first to take on Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and Michin. Nia Jax and Piper Niven took each other out temporarily, so Jade Cargill and Michin squared off in the ring. The announcers mentioned Nia Jax eliminated Jade Cargill from the tournament last year, but it was by disqualification, so it wasn't really as if it was a decisive victory. Piper Niven and Nia Jax formed a brief alliance to beat on Jade Cargill until Michin took everyone out with a moonsault. Most of this match felt by the book, other than a couple of standout spots, mostly for Michin. This felt pretty uneven and uneventful until Jade Cargill was tossed over the announce table into Wade Barrett by Piper Niven and Nia Jax. Jade Cargill ended up getting the win by pinning Piper Niven with Jaded. Okay, so Jade Cargill moves on in the Queen of the Ring tournament and is going on to the semi-final rounds now, where she'll be facing her next opponents in the semi-final round going forward. So that is basically the Queen of the Ring tournament. So you had one King of the Ring tournament match, then you had a Queen of the Ring tournament match. Continuing, we have another match with the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Riot Six. Now, the Riot Six have not been in much action since, last year or earlier this year? They had a debut against the Final Testament. They had it was really interesting matchup with the Riot Six and the Final Testament, and also Alpha American Made also had an interesting feud with the Riot Six, but not much has happened since then, so they've been out of action since then. But now we have Motor City Machine Guns versus the Riot Six matchup here. So, continuing here, I'm just skipping past the backstage segments here. So the Riot Six and so basically coming here, Naomi is there. She's celebrating her Money in the Bank victory, and Naomi said she's definitely going to be going after Tiffany Stratton's title, and she and Tiffany Stratton had a back and forth with Tiffany Stratton. So she indicated that she was going to go after the Tiffany Stratton titles, which sought the women's champion out to respond. As Naomi was about to leave, Nia Jax attacks Tiffany Stratton from behind. The champion tried to fend her off, but she ended up getting hit with an Annihilator. Naomi was about to cash in, but Nia Jax stopped her because she wants to be the one to beat Tiffany Stratton. Once again, we have Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax still wants to get her championship back, even though she has been beaten by Tiffany Stratton twice. But Nia Jax is stopping Naomi from cashing in on Tiffany the same way she was cashed in on Tiffany last year. Continuing, so we have I'm trying to find the match here. After the break, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin took on Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis from the Riot Six. Nikki Cross and Uncle Howdy and Eric Ronan watched from the aisle. Lumis and Gacy took control immediately by rushing to the ring and attacking Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. However, for Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, they were overwhelmed by Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy. Lumis hit a huge leg drop from the top of the rope to get the pin and the win. And so, in this win, we have the Riot Six defeating the Motor City Machine Guns in this matchup. So, there we have it, guys. The Riot Six are getting their win off of the Motor City Machine Guns, who, by the way, were the tag team champions, earlier this year. They were doing their thing. So that is what we have there. Continuing on, we have John Cena coming back out to the ring, and John Cena begins to call out R-Truth. He said that Truth crossed the line and disrespected him, and so he called R-Truth out for the fight. So instead of R-Truth coming out and fighting John Cena, CM Punk showed up. CM Punk made a surprise visit and surprised everyone there. So CM Punk confronted Cena and tried to tell Cena that he needs to stop what he's doing and give the crowd a happy ending to his run, because CM Punk said that John Cena was starting to sound a lot like himself, right? So Punk said that they were starting to sound a lot like each other, because Punk is making the childish insults and John Cena is threatening to leave with the belt. As CM Punk was leaving, R-Truth again attacks John Cena from behind, and R-Truth also locked John Cena in an STF. While Punk said the truth hurts to John Cena while he was in the STF by R-Truth, and it took several security guards to pull R-Truth off of John Cena. What also occurred is that CM Punk challenged John Cena to a match in Saudi Arabia. So, and Cena said that Cena said that R-Truth has to defend his title against him in Saudi Arabia, but I would think that was for the last SmackDown, or for the last Monday Night Raw. So Cena and John Cena and CM Punk are really building up this feud. They're reigniting this feud that is there. So it's going to be kind of interesting, because CM Punk can really talk on the ring. He makes a lot of good points. John Cena also had his points, and there's a lot of heartfelt feelings that both these guys don't like each other. They still have a lot to do. They still have a lot to prove. John Cena could lose his title to CM Punk. Let's be honest about that. But at the same time, I don't think John Cena would lose his title to CM Punk in Saudi Arabia. It's not going to happen, because CM Punk is in a position that is not a comfortable position for him to be. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen with that. The next matchup, we have another Queen of the Ring quarterfinal matchup between Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Alba Fyre, and Candice LeRae. So we have the second Queen of the Ring quarterfinal match with these four women, which is we're all trying to get a spot in the semifinals. Alba Fyre and Candice LeRae formed a temporary alliance and immediately attacked Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss to get an advantage. Charlotte Flair fought back until Alexa Bliss took her down with a crossbody from the top rope. We have Alexa Bliss taking out all three of her opponents with a Tower of Doom. Then she went on a rampage until Charlotte Flair put her in a figure 8. The match continues with a lot of action and energy occurring, and Alexa Bliss came out with some high-flying offense, and definitely that allowed her to get the win, because as Charlotte Flair had Alba Fyre locked out, Charlotte Flair put Alba Fyre in a figure 8, and Alexa Bliss hit a finisher and Candice LeRae and pinned Candice LeRae before Alba Fyre could tap out in the ring. Surprisingly, Charlotte Flair didn't make a scene and walked out the ring without even complaining about it. So Alexa Bliss is moving on to the semifinal matchup in the Queen of the Ring tournament. So again, they gave this grade a B rating. So that's what we have for this matchup for the Queen of the Ring tournament. Next up, we have another King of the Ring tournament quarterfinal matchup here. We have Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Andrade. Next up, we have this week's main event was another King of the Ring quarterfinal match featuring Cody Rhodes, Andrade, Damian Priest, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura tried to leave the ring so everyone else had to fight, but Cody Rhodes hit a suicide dive to take him down. This left Andrade and Priest to fight in the ring until Cody Rhodes got back into it with them. The match had plenty of time at the end of the show, so all four competitors were able to get a good amount of offense without anything feeling rushed. Cody Rhodes was sent through a Slim Jim sponsored table in a spot that felt like it was designed solely to get the table with logos on the screen for a couple of minutes. And then Cody Rhodes hit Shinsuke Nakamura with the crossroads to pin him and get the win. So Cody Rhodes defeats Shinsuke Nakamura, Damian Priest, and Andrade to move on to the semifinal round of the King of the Ring tournament. So after that, we're going to skip the backstage segments. We have one last word from the man himself, Randy Orton. So getting into this, we have Friday night's episode of SmackDown spent most of its time on the quarterfinal matches for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Alexa Bliss, Jade Cargill, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes all advanced to the semifinals. Each will face someone from Raw in the next round, but it feels like the finals for the men's tournament is obvious. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes appears to be the play. Even with all that taking up most of the show, the story between Cena and R-Truth or Ron Killings is the most intriguing thing on the episodes. Even with all that time taking up most of the show, the story. So, Ron Killings asked for and received a rematch against John Cena on next week's show that's on Friday Night Smackdown, with the title not being on the line. The outcome is not as predictable as a Money in the Bank match. It probably won't end with a clean win for Ron Killings, but it might not end with a victory for Cena either. This was a 3-hour show with only 5 matches, so it felt like WWE relied a little too much on filler. The main event was the best thing on the show, so if you don't have 3 hours to spare, make sure that is the one you watch. So that's it for that. So there we have it, guys. Unfortunately for this article here, which I have read from, that really doesn't give much detail about what exactly happened in each of these 5 matches. So I apologize for that. That this article from Bleacher Report, a lot of these articles that are read from these sports reports, they don't really cover wrestling in detail because they don't really watch it. I'm getting the feeling that they don't really watch wrestling. They don't really pay attention. They don't know none of the moves. They don't know none of the things that are going on, and so they're just covering it from their own opinion. That's why it seems so generalized and kind of bland. So I apologize for for this article here. It really does not give much detail about what exactly went down in the match. But basically, we got the results of what happened in each of the matches, since there were 5 matches, and we know who the winners are. So that's all that matters. So I'm gonna have to end this live stream for today, guys. We're gonna end it for today. I have an upcoming live stream to make sure to fill you up on what happened on Monday Night Raw. Stay tuned also for. I'm also considering whether I should move on to the Money in the Bank. I think talking about Money in the Bank was a good idea, so I think I might do a Money in the Bank recap, but we'll see about that. But stay tuned for the Monday Night Raw recap. That's definitely happening. So just keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the next broadcast, the next live stream. Hopefully, it will be an enjoyable one. Enjoy the rest of the day. Also, happy Juneteenth to everyone out there. I hope you're enjoying the nice weather. It's nice and cool, so enjoy the nice weather today and enjoy it with your families. Everybody have a great day and have a good one.